Hi, Dave Roscoe here. As I mentioned in my brief video yesterday, I'm switching the format for my videos. This is upon request by many users, and also something that I wanted to do to provide some ability to show you more information that I could not do before with the smaller screen. I'm not going to go back to the smaller screen, but I am open to suggestions about how I can make this better for you. I'm not guaranteeing that I'll do them, but if it makes sense and it helps get this information out to you, then I'm open to suggestions. So please leave those in the comments. So I'm getting a lot of questions about Pi Dow swap. I think that's how it's pronounced. If you've never heard of this, it is a decentralized exchange for Pi. It runs in the Pi ecosystem, and it's currently in KYB with the Pi Core team. I don't have much information about it. If the author of that app sees this and wants to reach out, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. But in the meantime, I will look into this further, and if I have enough good information, I'll create a video about it and show it to you. So let's get right down to it. The Pi coin is currently trading at 91 cents, which is down 4% from the last 24 hours. The current market cap is 6.16 billion, and the trading volume is $192 million, which is down 34% from 24 hours. Looking at the blockchain explorer, the currently locked mining rewards is roughly 5 billion Pi, and the unlocked mining is 1.695, and the total circulation is exactly the same as yesterday at 6.763 billion. If we look at the comparison from yesterday, the locked migrations are down by 2.16 million, and the unlocked migrations are up by 2.16 million. Once again, this suggests that no new migrations have occurred, and the only change here is that locked migrations have become unlocked. If you're wondering why the price is down, there's your answer. 2.16 million Pi coin just hit the exchanges, or at least are available to hit the exchanges, and that's increasing the supply and is driving the price down. So I wanted to talk, I know I've put this off long enough, and I want to talk about smart contracts, and we're finally going to do it. Now, if you're a savvy crypto trader, the information in here isn't going to be extremely useful for you. This is really more for people who are not as well versed in trading and crypto in particular, and want to know what this term smart contract means. So it's going to be a pretty high level explanation. Smart contracts are a method for conducting business, making agreements, and even building applications on the internet. For example, if you want to buy a concert ticket online, you put in your credit card information, and then that information is transferred to multiple trusted institutions that process the payment, ensuring that the seller gets paid and you get your concert tickets. That intermediate processing often requires fees. So like, for example, if you're using a Visa card, that's going through, Visa's servers before being paid out to the seller. So Visa will take their cut. The seller's bank will take a cut just for touching that transaction. So there's a lot of fees involved, and that can slow down processing and also cost you more money. So that's why, they have an impact on the price that you pay because of the fees that are in the middle here. And there are also more points of failure. Any one of these steps could fail, and your ability to conduct the transaction would be diminished. Smart contracts can eliminate this. They're like a digital vending machine. You insert your digital assets, and provided that all of the conditions are met, it will release your product automatically and directly. They are computer programs that execute agreements when conditions are met. There's no need for a central authority or middlemen to get involved. So how do they work? They run on a blockchain, and a blockchain is a network. A blockchain can be thought of as a public ledger or a record book, and it records every transaction. Those transactions cannot be changed once they're recorded. The terms of the contract are written in computer code. For example, take Pi migration lockups. You lock up your Pi migration. When the migration occurs, the smart contract kicks in to prevent your Pi from being used. When the lockup expiration date is hit, the contract releases your Pi coin. If something happens within the 14-day pending period, the contract can be canceled and the coin returned to the sender. Now, this is built into the contract, otherwise it couldn't work. And we've recently found that that was a possibility that we didn't know existed before. Well, we kind of did, but we never actually saw it happen because it didn't need to. So once the contract is created, it's deployed on the blockchain. And because blockchains are decentralized, no single person controls it. This adds security and transparency to all of these transactions and the smart contracts themselves. The Pi blockchain is not yet decentralized. To my knowledge, all of the nodes currently running the blockchain are owned by the Pi network. And all of the user nodes, which I am one, are still running on the testnet. If I'm wrong about that, let me know. I'm not sure if any user-run nodes are actually processing transactions on the open mainnet blockchain. But this will definitely change in the future. Smart contracts execute automatically when proper conditions are met. For example, your lockup expiration date. When the contract executes, it requires no human intervention, no intermediate server transactions, and executes directly on the blockchain itself. It's fast and has fewer errors and is more protected from fraud. Hackers can't easily steal your information or your assets simply by hacking into a poorly protected server that you have no control over. We've seen many, many cases where trusted institutions have had their servers hacked and millions or even billions of people have had their personal information stolen. Smart contracts help reduce that because they are executing on the blockchain, which is cryptographically protected. It's not up to the institutions running the servers to provide all of the protection for your data. So why are smart contracts important? Well, they offer several advantages. For one, trust and security. Because they're on the blockchain, every transaction is verified via consensus of all, and it minimizes the risk of fraud and manipulation. They're also more efficient and faster. There's no middlemen like banks or lawyers, and everything is automatic, saving time and cost. Because all blockchain transactions are recorded on a public ledger, it's all very transparent. You can see all transactions on the blockchain. And for example, if we go to the Blockchain Explorer, you can see these transactions. These are all transactions. Now, they may not mean much to you, from a human perspective, but if you know what you're looking at, it has meaning. And but you can certainly develop computer code that can go through this and find any irregularities because it's freely available. And people do that. I mean, there are quite a few third-party tools that can use this public data. And I'll show you one right here. Like, for example, piscan.io. This is not run by the Pi network. This is a third party that provides information that is publicly available from the Pi network's blockchain. So because of that, it's much more transparent, and it allows anyone to verify a contract's performance. and provides accountability. Smart contracts are also very accessible, and they can be employed in many industries, including finance and insurance, and even in voting systems. I've heard of blockchain voting systems that use smart contracts, and they offer a lot of advantages for all of the reasons that I've listed above. Now, there are some misconceptions about smart contracts. Because the word contract is in the name, a lot of people think that smart contracts are written in legal language or legalese. That's not the case. Smart contracts are just computer code, and they execute automatically based on a set of predefined conditions. They can't replace lawyers or traditional contracts, at least not in all cases. While they can automate many processes, they work best in clearly defined, simple agreements. And a lot of people think that smart contracts are risk-free. While they can provide a lot more security and less chances for error and fraud, at the end of the day, it's just computer code, and it's only as good or risk-free as the code it's written in. Bugs can happen, and logic holes can lead to unexpected problems. And this is why smart contracts require very rigorous testing and periodic audits. And this is usually carried out by third parties that are not directly associated with the originator of the smart contract. And that makes a lot of sense because you don't want to audit yourself. Auditing yourself is never a good thing. That's the high-level discussion or explanation of smart contracts. I hope it was useful to you. Maybe at some point I'll go through and provide a deeper dive into how they work if there's any interest. So that's all I got for today. If anything pops up, I'll be back. But until then, remember, the success of Pi Network begins with you. Pi to the moon. Peace.